There we go.
All
All right. Apologies, delays,
Ah,
my
that's
fault. Okay.
All good. All right. So call the cable commission to order.
I want to do a roll call.
Yeah, roll call. So
record.
Rob Capone,
Ash Chicory. Luis Rodriguez.
Suzanne Woodland, Deputy City Manager.
Gary Lau.
whatever. We have a.
Oh.
My goodness.
We got a person.
Wow.
In your best behavior.
Okay.
Alright, so
See that?
Did that person? Yep.
great.
All right.
All right, I have to admit, I don't have a copy of
Oh.
the agenda, so. All right, so do we just call the order? So I guess first off, approval of both the minutes for the June 28th, and should we do them separately or?
Probably good to do it.
All right. do it
Separate in
separately?
case
All
there's
right,
any-
so approval first of the June 28th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second, all right.
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Yep, aye.
All right, great. All right, next, approval of the November 29th minutes.
Second that.
All right, okay, all in favor?
Yep.
All right, okay.
Okay, under any other business, I did reach out to PPM TV and got an update from them, which is because I did invite them to this meeting. Chad, the executive director, indicated that he would not be able to attend the meeting, but Comcast has, as I indicated previously, installed the drop. They have not received any charge for that, so that's good. They did have an issue with their Tightrope Flex Light server, and we are getting that resolved. After that, we should be on air. We are getting closer to the grand opening of our studio, and we will send an invite when that opening date is determined. Most of our members have seen the studio and are very excited for it to be fully operational. Thanks for checking in. So just wanted to make sure that you had an update on where they were on that.
I guess biggest things, yeah, glad to hear that everything went okay without cost,
Yes,
as it should have.
yes, as it should have. But it's always good to double check that.
Exactly. Well,
The
especially
reality
that's-
matches the expectation.
Exactly.
The one other piece that I have under other business, before we get into,
Well, you got public.
Comcast,
Or public comment.
or
Let's
public
take it.
comment.
Sorry, we're moving on.
is recognizing that maybe the next 2 months are gonna be working hard on our Comcast renewal. However, in organizing my notes for year end, I came across some of our work product related to, you know, where we want to go next, in part with the issues about cellular phone service. So I found a communication from our former member, Commissioner Jason Hewitt, where he had actually kind of drafted a communication to, you know, the service providers saying, hey, we'd like to invite you to come and talk to us. And so I thought if the commission would like, I could share that. I know Lewis is, you know, kind of chomping at the bit to think about that. And I also found and have available, where are my notes? I had another set of handwritten notes, which I thought she'd made a copy of, but she did not. I will get you them about a potential survey, because we talked about doing a survey. And maybe a QR code, but what that would look like.
Okay.
And whether data is, you know, trying to find a way to get good information from our residents and businesses and visitors in a not too technical, but technical enough that you have information that you could use.
Right. Yep.
And I did have some notes from one of our prior conversations about, is it you can't connect at all? Is it a speed when you're downloading? You know, we kind of played around with some of that, you know,
Yeah.
information about what we might be able to learn, just enough to have a more robust conversation with the carriers. And if the commission would like, I could maybe have Lewis, I'll I thought I brought a copy of those notes with me. I can give you those notes and maybe set you up to talk with Stephanie Secord, who helped us with the cable survey, to work together to come up with a draft in the next 2 months, where we're also, we're doing one thing,
Mm.
but knowing that you were so
Yeah.
interested
Oh, yeah.
in beginning that, you'd then be able to work on a work product over the next 2 months to bring then to the rest of the
Yeah.
group, so that we're ready to go
Yeah.
for the next topic while we
Right.
kind of labor through this other part. But that's really your call. But I was, like I said, kind of putting some things in order for a year end and found those notes and this information, and
Yeah.
just if that becomes helpful as a path forward, we could do something like that.
Mhm. Thoughts?
So.
Ash? Like this, Mike? Because I have some, like, I always chime in first, so I feel bad.
So,
Yeah.
the survey will go just like we did with Comcast, right?
Yeah.
To Portsmouth resident, and then same thing. So the data, then we would take it and approach service providers same way.
Yeah, just so we get our own data first. So that when we have a conversation, we'd be able to say, yeah, there are a number of complaints, particularly in areas that we already suspect.
Yeah.
That we're gonna hear complaints about in terms of I tend to lose coverage in this location in the city, or I can't download when I'm, sitting in this restaurant in this location in the city, trying to get some of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, granular intro.
Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
to get the ball started. I think that it's a good idea for us when we think about that is, to have some sort of idea of what to bring to the table. I've thought about creative ways to try and get the, a QR code scattered all over, which we wouldn't get just Portsmouth residents. We would get
And that's
anybody with a
okay.
cell phone, which is great
Right.
because that's kind of part of it.
Probably
People
people-
coming here
Work
Yeah.
here.
still don't have service.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
people who work here as well in businesses around.
Exactly. So, I think that there's a little bit of almost like a campaign, like sort of sentiment that we can kind of roll out with this. Again, yes, my passion is definitely showing for this. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of get the ball rolling. We can start with that. And then, like I said, chomping at the bit to kind of get through the Comcast deal. And then as soon as that's ready, I'll at least have something. And then we can go from wherever that leads us. And then we can start meeting and going for where we, what to do there. Because again, there are technical aspects of it. We need to figure out what we can do. There are other sources of information like that sort of speed test does collect that data from when random people do speed tests in the area. So
Yeah.
there are other sources that we can maybe merge all this information to, and then, I don't know what kind of response we'll get from the survey and how technical and granular it can be without being too cumbersome. But we can take all that information, and then at least when we meet with them, we have something to kind of ground our questions on, I guess, questions.
And why it's good timing now is not only is we could kind of tap Stephanie, who's already helped this committee once, but we do have a communications intern starting at the end of January, I believe, from UNH. So we might have a resource, to help kind of look at, is there any other way to reach, or maybe we just target some select businesses throughout the city to say, could you put this QR code here so
Mhm.
that your patrons, if they have a moment, can come in. And we just very selectively, okay, here are 20 restaurants scattered throughout, or businesses scattered throughout various locations in the city. And,
Right.
there might be ways to structure our input that
Well,
becomes
And
helpful.
and a QR code basically is just a URL. So
Right.
it'd be very easy for us to customize that QR code. So we would not only be able to get that information, but also be able to know which QR code did you use, again,
Yeah.
depending on how it gets coded. I know it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get that granular on SurveyMonkey, but it would be kind of cool to be able to have like, okay, no, effectively,
Right.
like where are we getting the most information? Like where are they getting the QR code from, as well as getting that information?
Right, because it may be 10 different QR codes, maybe it's a different QR code that you put in different parts of town. I
That
don't
would kind
know.
of get us
I think
around
that's
that would get us around the location services thing,
Yeah.
which is what I was worried about, was when you do these types of things, like you have to allow your browser location services, like I don't know how SurveyMonkey works. I know like just general apps ask for permissions. So if we have the QR code, say it's in this general vicinity, and we put that like this is
And maybe
telling.
that becomes the way to do it.
Yeah,
is
and it
only
would be
to do it.
anonymized, I mean, the rest of it would be like you put in your Joe Smith, obviously, but what we would want is some sort of quantifiable data, but we'll have to see what's available, especially if it would be cool. I hope SurveyMonkey or whatever we have has some sort of tools built in.
And would be also one other thing too, just to sort of segue on having this sort of prepped and ready for once we get done with the franchise agreement, is that traditionally too, the franchise agreement has been the only thing that really keeps the commission together, and that once the franchise agreement is done, Carol, it's like all
Fade
of a
away.
sudden, because you are been through this before, like once it's done, there's really nothing left to do. So we could have something like on deck
Mhm.
so that we can keep moving, but which would
What
be
I
good.
was thinking, if,
Okay.
yep,
I can keep
It's
us
all good.
busy. I
Yeah.
mean, after
Well,
the
the
Starlink,
one-
we got,
Right. Well, the other thing too, I'm
we
thinking is that
rebranded, so.
do we-
Yeah.
we could also potentially wait on it a little bit, because obviously, this time of year, the winter, we're not seeing quite that many people, and
Downtown.
we
Mhm.
maybe could have had more people if the time had presented itself properly. Just with all of the campaigning for presidential election, sometimes there will be large numbers of people in Portsmouth, but I think that's
Yeah.
winding down. Which is fine, I think, but I think I'd like to keep going with it.
so
Yeah.
are you amenable if I work with Lewis to, set him up with the team and kind of spend the next, 2 months while we work on collectively the Comcast agreement, but at least he could begin
Sure,
that.
if anything comes up, we could bring it up
Conversation.
in
Yeah,
in
good.
the meetings
Exactly.
following,
Right.
if as
Yep.
other business. Yeah, I mean, most of it's just gonna be like what's possible, and then I can present it like, this is what we can do.
Right.
We need just,
Well, and
figure
also
that out.
not only that, but even though we can't communicate as a group through email, you can send any information to Suzanne, which she
absolutely.
can then disseminate to each of us. So while it would be definitely slower,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be
Yeah.
like, out on your own in the wilderness.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
I'll come to you guys for sure.
Like a Teams channel.
I
Team channel
know.
would definitely be a meeting.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I have ideas.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
All right, good. I'll put this package of stuff together, and
Yeah.
like I said, I thought there was one more piece of paper with my notes from that first conversation, or one of the conversations that we had
Hmm.
on
I
how
have
to
some notes
potentially
Too.
collect the data.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
Okay,
Could we ask WSCA and Cable Access Television to promote the survey?
I think that's something to,
Yeah,
As well as
Discuss.
we
What are
also
the
included
listeners?
it. We also included it in the city
Newsletter?
newsletter.
Yeah,
Emailed newsletter.
use
so
some of
that-
those sources.
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Just
it
a
wouldn't be
thought.
bad.
We didn't do any like the broadcast style.
And,
It behooves
across
them.
multiple media isn't a bad idea too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
as we've said
Facebook
before, not
page.
everybody is,
Just
we
a
want
little spot now and then.
City of Portsmouth's official Facebook.
Tell us what you think.
right, and that's what we could work on as a plan.
Right.
For
And then
collecting.
have the UNH student go to all the businesses. Just a thought.
is not what interns are for. No.
Well, I'll go to Liar's Bench.
That is a
I
popular.
got that one.
place,
I'll go with it.
So,
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
okay,
Liar's bench, loaded
good.
question.
Then I'll work with
discuss.
Louis and
No
get him
problem.
started with the team.
I heard they have very bad service down there.
Do we still have, I guess, are we all set?
Yeah, I
as
think
far as
we're out.
other business?
We do have participants.
Okay, so
So-
yeah, that was the end of my other business.
Anything else before we open to public comment? All right, so we'll move on to public comment. Mr. Abrams, are you?
Yes,
I just wondering, are you here as just to attend, or do you have specific comments you'd like to place? Now is the time if you'd like to.
I think you might be missing the boat a little. You're talking about QR codes. You're talking about this and that. I don't think this is intentional. A lot of people who are retired are not adept at QR codes. They're not adept at how technology is today. And as far as I'm concerned, the people that are most affected by some of this interrupted service, bad service, are senior citizens, because younger people, anyone who's less than 50 years old, are all adept at this. I don't know if you ever heard of the Neighborhood app. Have you heard of that app, the Neighborhood?
I actually have it as well.
Okay, well, go and look at what they're talking about Comcast and the problems and the issues they might be having. I think it'd be worth listening to. That's just my opinion.
It's
Great.
It's
definitely,
not about all downtown. It's about the whole city in general. And it's also about their diminishing service. I mean, I'm not here to be vindictive. I do have a screenshot of when I was on hold for and talked to 5 different people for an hour and 45 minutes. I have had ongoing issues with Comcast. I've been with them 50 years, 48 years. And I see diminishing service. I see them farming a lot of things out. I see that when I was on phone for like she goes, I'm so sorry. And then she tried to sell me this new program with a new phone. I'm just saying, I can't believe she's did this. And I think it's taking advantage of your senior citizens. And I think you got to just keep them in mind about how it's affecting, nothing against Comcast, but I everyone's got the bottom dollar and everyone knows how to make money. But I think a little competition wouldn't hurt them. That's all.
You bring up some great points, Jeff. As I'm one of the people who actually lurk on Neighborhood a lot, and that's part of the reason we did look into that a lot. We use the information that we basically have all seen on social media, Neighborhood app, and just speaking to any people in Portsmouth about Comcast being sometimes people's, bane of their existence. I'm not sure if you're aware that we did conduct a survey that we sent out to all Portsmouth residents through the Portsmouth website and emails. And we did get pretty good results back from that. And I think they actually mirror a lot of what you are discussing. If you look at our website, if you go to City of Portsmouth, you'll be able to see the cable and internet.
I sent in a reply on that.
That's so basically what I was doing was just agreeing with you and saying that we did look into that. With all the reports on social media, there was only so much we could do with that, which is why we had to conduct essentially our own survey. We've also brought up these survey results with Comcast and are, looking at ways that, maybe how their data may match or not match with what our constituents have been reporting. So I just wanted to give you an update on that front as well. So we have kind of taken that path of what we've heard to try and capture our solid data that then we can bring to the meetings with Comcast to hopefully get better resolutions to these issues that our constituents are facing.
Okay, well, that's good.
if I could just real quick, also, if you're having issues and unresolved issues with Comcast, and please feel free to spread this around. It's not like you're out there on your own. Please feel free to contact us. Suzanne in particular will work with, and we have sort of a second level support person on speed dial, which so that, and now admittedly, Suzanne has to be involved, but in almost all, I'd have to say actually all cases, once Suzanne gets involved, the problem kind of goes away. I think it's one thing, and I absolutely understand with you and agree with you that, a lot of customer support, if you're dialing in or chatting in, it's a roll of the dice. But please understand that you can definitely reach out to us and we can advocate for you.
Jeff, do you want?
Okay, well, like I said, I've had 3 different, I pay for a service contract. And I have had nothing but dropped signal for over a year. I have had 3 different technicians out here of taking an hour and a half to 2 hours to finally get in touch with the person while I was on hold or being transferred. It still hasn't taken care of the problem. It's not my hardware. It's not this, it's not that. They've replaced my router twice. I mean, I pay them a lot of money. I've been paying them a lot of money for 45 years.
Jeff,
And
you,
and also on the neighborhood app, it's not only Comcast here, it's Comcast in Northampton, it's Comcast. If you know, if you look at what people are saying, it's not just Portsmouth.
Yep.
And I don't know if you realize that the cable companies or the streaming or the broadband, older people are doing this. All the younger people are doing it on their devices. Older people aren't, and then I think it's being taken advantage of older people. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel, that they aren't taken consider, and that's not the main thrust of it. But they're so diversified. They eventually, and you know, you chat rooms and believe half of what you read, but they'd rather get out of the cable business. They'd rather, you know, they're diversified in other directions. So just so you'll know, if you want to do your due diligence and see if how much is their income is derived from maintaining these wires and the cable and whatever they offer, it's not their main interest right now. That's just as far as I'm concerned.
So Jeff, I don't know if you caught, but Suzanne actually was looking up to get some contact info from you, because definitely you are a prime candidate for us to help out, like directly. So if we could get your just a phone number or some contact info.
Sure. This is real easy. Real easy. You ready?
Yep.
Jeffrey, Jeffrey .Abrams, ABRAMS at Comcast.net. What a surprise.
all right, great.
And the landline is 603 431 5256. I'm not here to skewer Comcast. I think I just think they need some competition. And if they are eventually getting out of servicing their, if this is a citywide problem, be honest with us. If they don't want to upgrade their systems or signals, or, you know, I mean, I can live with someone who tells me the truth, and then it's up to me. I'll put my big boy pants on and say, okay, I'll live with her. I don't want to live with it. That's all.
And Mr. Abrams, you should be aware that the agreement we have with Comcast is not exclusive. If we can find other carriers willing to come in, we would be happy to have them. To date, no other carrier has been willing to come in. So just so you know that the city is not wedded to Comcast. It simply is the only carrier that we have for cable television. But the contract in no way excludes another carrier from coming in, and this commission and the city would be happy to have more competition. So know that your concerns are familiar to us.
Yes.
And but we might be able to get you a little bit of help. So I will send you an email off tomorrow or give you a call tomorrow. And if yeah, and then we'll connect up and you can give me some more detail and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and Suzanne,
Good.
will follow up with the committee and kind of let us know, as you know, like these are the types of issues that we've heard about and need to address. And you know, and Suzanne's done a great job of addressing individually the ones that pop up, but you know, if there are global issues, we need to look into them as well. So yeah, no, this is great. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And not only that,
I
but like
appreciate it.
actually information that we can carry with us, because as part of the franchise agreement, one of the few things, we don't have a lot of leverage with them, but one of the things we do is service. And as we've seen, as far as this, the survey results, as well as having actual data that we've been able to get from Comcast, that they're not usually repeat complaints, but there are people that have problems and they don't get resolved right away. So the more that we have, the more that we have.
Can be a squeaky wheel.
Exactly. We can use that as part of the franchise agreement negotiation. So thank you.
Sure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Move on to the next order of business.
So I guess we're okay then at that point?
Sure.
Yes, sir? Yeah. All right. So, all right, at this point, I guess we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is basically discussion of the franchise renewal, but it will be in a non-public session.
So.
So,
I'll move
motion to move into, non-public session.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Abrams. So yeah, we're gonna move into non-public session. So the public session will end. And again, Suzanne's gonna be following up there with you and filling us in on what the outcomes of your issue are end up being.
Appreciate it and happy new year and happy, healthy new year.
You
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
You just ended.
Yep, I was just looking for
Oh,
that. There we go. I wanna send it to the cloud.